back to another video. If you're new, my name is Phoebe. Welcome. I've just put on some makeup to try and trick myself into feeling a little more zhuzhy. I just hit a good milestone today. Pretty much finished first proofread. I always do a few in different mediums with different versions of grammar because obviously I write how I speak and that trips some platforms and people up. Anyway, Big Mouth is essentially done and I just was emailing the printer to get quotes and different bookstores to see if they're interested in stocking it. And yeah, I'm taking myself out to do a bit of a food shop because we don't have much in the house, and also maybe go to an op shop, but I want to go to this USA supermarket, which it only occurred to me that like one thing I might really appreciate getting there are funky nut butters. Like I'm hoping they have Justin's, but I mean I'll take any, you know, something with chocolate combined with a nut would be nice. My mum's just watching me film myself in the driveway. Love that. His calm.
Now she has no eyebrows. Mission accomplished.
Hey again, it's the next day in the afternoon. Spent this morning doing little proofreading tidbits and doing a little poll on the Insta on which direction I should take the front cover because your gal has like the stalest eyes regarding this cookbook, in that I had such a clear idea of how I wanted it to look at the start, but that was like 6 months ago. But no, it's affirming the direction I wanted to go in anyway. This morning I had a GP appointment, and if you want partially rebated psychologist appointments, you need to go to a GP and do like a little sit down check-in questionnaire, which I'm sure would be a fine process if, you know, you had a GP that you could easily get an appointment with, that you got along great with. I'm sort of in between, and I'm in like the long ongoing process of trying to find someone I like. I think I've seen like 6 in the last year. The place I go to or have been going to has heaps, so it's more like just slot you in with whoever. And I don't think I'm being a little whinge pot, but the process, it just gets my blood boiling a little. There's just so many issues with it. Number one, like most GPs aren't super trained in mental health stuff, so even though they don't want to miss anything and, you know, they want to make sure you're not too bad, they just exude the vibe of being a little bit like scared to actually ask the big scary questions directly because they're not that equipped to deal with it. So they sort of talk in mental health in ways that's very vanilla, which is kind of a bit patronising and invalidating when they take over and go on a little ramble about how when they're having a bad day, they'll go out in their garden. And I've had one friend say, like, hug a tree was the advice given to them, or go outside into your garden and look up and just, you know, really reflect on their place in the world, the miracle of life, as a way to get out of a frump. And it's so annoying when they go on rambles and make the appointment go for so long when really you're there for a specific reason, to get the rebated appointments. They're not trained in mental health, so they're not going to help you. It's the trained professional you're trying to see after you get the GP to sign off on it. Also, there would never be a situation where if you're going to a doctor, someone out the front goes, whoa, 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 hold up, sorry, even if you're in like immediate physical pain, then it'd be like, stop sir, we just need to do this K10 questionnaire and ask you about whether, you know, that abscess on your leg or that broken collarbone I can see you're dealing with. You know, is that something you're thinking about day to day? Is that getting in the way of your work, your sex life? And how would you rate the pain out of 10? And then once you deliver that questionnaire, then you can go to a GP. But you also have to pay that person out the front who's just like this fuzzy, annoying, untrained blockade to very gentle. Like, talk therapy is so gentle. It's not like you're asking to get this a million side effects, like super expensive drug. It's just talking to someone who's trained in mental health stuff. Anyway, and that's in Australia where it's pretty accessible. Enough about that, sorry for the vent. I have just been going through my source material cookbooks. I might show you this in a sec because it might be interesting in like how I go about making a recipe. This is quite a classic vintage one that crops up a lot in vintage cookbooks. It's like a hazelnut tort type thing where you make meringue layers with hazelnuts and then layer them with something. It's like a chocolatey direction or a strawberry direction. I don't think I can go in a strawberry direction right now because of the cost of strawberries. Don't know if you're experiencing this, but like fruit and veg in Australia at the moment is exorbitant, but with a swap for aquafaba, and there's very low amount of flour, so I'm pretty confident that that can be easily subbed to be gluten-free if the option presents. Yeah, it should be very cute, and your gal has a great method of making vegan cream, so I think it'll be really cool. The number of times that a hazelnut tort crops up in like vintage women's weeklies or similar cookbooks of the era, you know, shows that maybe the dessert imagination was a little bit limited, but they're super pretty and do look very delicious. Dinner was outstanding, very delicious, and US chips just like hit different. I don't know, it must be like a potato thing. I was trying to think and I'm like, well, actually there are a million variables, but the potatoes I think are thicker. There's a different flavour profile. I feel like the salt is finer. But if I think of like a Smith's Australian chip, they're not as crunchy, they're sort of crispy. They sort of taste a bit more watery. I should remember when my family went to the US when I was like, or maybe 10 or 11, we went to a chip factory and the smell was off the charts. Anyway, I should have paid more attention. This hazelnut tort, kind of similar to the potato chip. It's like few ingredients and a seemingly straightforward situation, but there's just so many variables, especially around cooking time. I think that's been my downfall, but we power on. That's my last piece of homemade vanilla slice. We're a couple of days forward now. FYI, it's Monday afternoon. All sort of fell to crumpets with the printers at the end of last week. No progress was made. However, all has been resolved today. But on the weekend I was so frustrated, I channeled it into baking goods and I was laminating left, right and centre with different puff pastries. One of which went into this with homemade butter in the puff pastry, and I figured out a new way of making vegan custard, new to me. It opens up so many sort of dairy accomplishments I want to tackle, like lemon tart, mainly egg replacements, just channeling my let's replace elements rather than whack a bunch of ingredients together and hope for the best. Anyway, had a great weekend, actually having a lot of success. And then today, my sample finally arrived. Big Mouth is here. It's available for pre-order in hard copy and in digital form. Hard copy will be a bit smaller than this. I'm going to print it in A5. I think actually it just makes more sense. They just sent it to me in A4 maybe to upsell. This cookbook's been bound differently to the others I've done. It's in half Canadian, which is where it has a thicker wraparound with the spiral neatly tucked inside, and the outside cover is really sturdy, so don't worry about that. And it lays flat and you can, turn it back on itself. The cover can cope with that. It just looks really flush. Yeah, I'm a big convert. It works really, really well. Just to share a little more info and mega excitement for Big Mouth. She is a follow-up to Gentle Foods, which I published in February last year, which was a petite little resource I compiled, having navigated some deep end gut issues of my own and sort of wrestling with being told to adapt my diet, not wanting to do that, but conceding that in certain times, in the certain flare-ups, gentle recipes do serve a purpose. And I've sort of reached a point now where I don't eat that way all the time. That would strip me of joy. Your gal's heading in a microbakery direction, and food is part of what I do, part of my income, but also a strong sense of my identity. Food media is a huge interest and daily consumption for me, and food brings so much joy. It's such a great comfort, cooking, eating, sharing food, as it is for so many of you probably, and for a lot of people with gut issues, but that is not really catered to. I found in my experience flippant sort of throwaway lines of changing your diet extremely substantially are done within the four walls of medical offices and can cause so much damage to your psyche and just be so crushing to your mental health, which is so linked to your gut health, so then it becomes a shit feedback loop. So with the swings and roundabouts of life and chronic gut health stuff, a happier middle where I lean on the gentler recipes, which is this follow-up compendium of recipes in more stressy times, during flare-ups, to help you sail through them a bit quicker. But I'm also fiercely determined to counteract the sort of notion around intolerance-friendly food being very pallid, very boring, very tasting healthy and bland. I also strongly believe, maybe it's just as a food keen bean, but between the goalposts of food intolerances and food preferences, you enjoy eating more plants, as long as you're not restricting yourself to a point where food isn't a flexible free space, then I feel there's room to boogie in between those two goalposts, and boogieing meaning cup filling, very shareable recipes, and that's what this is. She also got some food writing in there, a very lovely, hopefully food positive and uplifting embroidery series that I did, some more thoughts and hopefully little handy positive but very non-forceful hints about the intersection that I just talked about. But the umbrella to this book is that you do not have to do anything in it. It's meant to be a resource if you want it to be, but agency is yours, baby, and add some things in here to your toolkit if you want to, but you really don't have to do anything, because at the end of the day, doing is stress. And being told to do something, especially in the health foodie space, not that I consider myself in a health space, even unintentionally, it can feel very overwhelming and just, again, cause stress in the body, which can aggravate gut symptoms. So sensitive system gal pals, I hope you get something out of this. Link to the hard copy and the digital copy in the description box below. The pre-orders will be open for a week, so hop on that ASAP if you're interested. I haven't done pre-orders before, but I am determined to be a bit more sensible with out-of-pocket expenses and also not get estimations of how many to print wrong. I will print a few extra, so don't worry if you miss out on this period or you're watching this video late and you would like a hard copy, but perhaps if you're watching in the way future, the digital copy is the one that will be available long term. I think in retrospect this one was a long time coming, maybe because it was a little bit triggering, mulling over that sort of vibey and category of food. My favourite recipes, there's a Thai spread in there of coconut lemongrass tofu and different salads, which is just so refreshing and so good. My favourite sushi bowl is in there, salted chocolate quinoa granola. The banana bread biscuits are so comforting, they make me so happy. You cannot believe they're as tasty as they are from the ingredients list. The miso Brussels sprouts soba noodles is so good. The potato recipes are off the charts because potatoes are queen. The crispy mustard maple potato is probably my favourite thing ever. The pad thai in it is so good. There's some quite legit-y chicken nuggets made out of tofu in there, and there's some chocolate peanut butter protein bars using a method with protein powder where you sort of make it into a thick custard, and it gets rid of the flouriness. So they are perfection also. Thank you for watching this video, honey bunches. I hope you enjoy the book, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my vanilla slice. Bye.